I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, and obviously I haven't been available for like a week or so. So, first of all, I know what you guys are going to ask, and I did think it was a flagrant foul, and our reffing just needs to be better. And it's tough. Obviously, the refs are in a really difficult spot. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world, in my opinion, is to make calls. All you do is get yelled at the whole time by everybody. You're never winning. So I think for us, as the league's just got to do better protecting our players in that regard. I don't
about being out.
Feeling a lot better, excited to get back into practice today, and then feeling really, really positive about getting back into one of the games at the back-to-back. Obviously, difficult coming back in a back-to-back, so we'll have to be cautious of that. But I feel a lot better, and like I said, excited to get back into practice. And this week has been very helpful for my overall health. So other than that, if you guys have any questions, I know I kind of just ranted for a while, but feeling a lot.
Okay, she said difficulty coming back in a back-to-back. She's missing this game.
There it is, the official acknowledgement that a flagrant foul occurred. Exactly what so many people had been waiting to hear. But pay close attention to the way this situation is being presented, because the wording says just as much as the announcement itself. To be honest, this response wasn't surprising at all. Anyone who has followed Caitlin Clark since her unforgettable days at Iowa could have predicted that the media would handle this story in a very familiar way.
Just has to do better, and we have to invest in those areas. The technology can get better. We can treat the referees a little bit better, pay them like they're full-time employees. I think things like that, and I think a lot has obviously come after that. And as I've stood up here and said before, like the harassment, the hate, none of that is okay. That goes for the opposing team we play. That goes for my teammates. That goes for my coaches. There should never be a question of character. Like I've always stood up here and said that, and that's truly what I believe. That's how I was raised. So, none of that is okay, and I don't want anybody to ever experience that. I think it can be really frustrating to me at times, and I think it's difficult. I think a lot of people sometimes think I'm a robot. I'm not a robot. I have emotions, I have feelings, and it can be really difficult to go through a lot of that. And I'm 24 years old, trying to navigate a lot, and I think at times I've been in this world for 4 years now, and you would never change any of it. But there are times that it is hard, and there are times that it probably affects me a little bit more than I do put on, and I would never change any of that for the world. But I think it's important that people do remember that part of it too. So at the same time, it's really interesting to me because even I turned the TV on Sunday, and that game was on Wednesday, and that's all people are still talking about. And I feel like that's just a real disservice to our league. And I get it. You talk about it. You talk about whether it's flagrant. You talk about whatever it is. But to continue.
It was almost inevitable that she would publicly speak out against the hate. Just as expected, she chose the calm, measured approach instead of adding more controversy. Rather than making the story about herself, she focused on promoting respect and considered the impact her words could have on everyone involved before thinking about her own perspective.
And then for the narrative to be taken other places that is really just that's just really not acceptable, I think it's hard to see, and it's a disservice to my team, but it's also a disservice to the other teams in this league and other players in this league. There's so much amazing talent, and there's so many amazing players that are playing at an incredibly high rate, and I remember, I think it was Sunday or Saturday, whatever day that was. I remember watching them discuss it on TV, and I didn't know they were going to discuss it. I was just watching the other games because I try to watch as much as I can, and I honestly felt bad for the players that were playing in the games those days, and also I felt bad for my teammates. They played on Friday, and they dominated, and they played really well, and nobody wanted to talk about that. They were just worried about everything else. So, and there had been, I think 10 plus other games that had already happened to that point. So, I think it's all of our jobs to help refocus the narratives a lot of the times, and we can do better at that. And I think it'll help our game grow a lot more.
Before diving into everything that followed, it's important to revisit what actually happened on the court during the June 1st matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. In a sequence that immediately grabbed everyone's attention, Kennedy Carter forcefully bumped Caitlin Clark well away from the ball. The play quickly became one of the most talked about moments of the season, with many fans and analysts describing it as an obvious and unnecessary off-ball foul that sparked debate across the basketball world.
By the way, she gave exactly the statement I expected. All right, a very canned statement. She shot down online harassment and hate. I knew she would make this statement. There was no way with her having to play in this league with these players, there was no way she was not going to do the I'm condemning hate and online harassment, blah, blah, blah. She was always going to do that. All right? If anybody expected that she wouldn't, you were wrong. I fully expect.
And you know what's even crazier? The referees on the floor didn't even call it in real time. Let that sink in. It literally took a post-game league review from the front office to step in and officially upgrade that incredibly dirty play to a flagrant one.
Look, you gotta say one thing. She's always thinking about everybody else but her. However, she did make it clear that was a foul. The league needs to do better. And, of course, she tried to spin it towards the rest of the league too. But we knew this would happen. We knew that this would be the kind of statement she would give. She's always trying to – and here's the problem. She's such an unselfish person and player in what is a unbelievably selfish league. Petty league and jealous league. And her personality could not be more opposite to her fellow players in the league.
What made the incident even more surprising was that the officials didn't rule it a flagrant foul during the game. Instead, the play was only re-evaluated after the final buzzer, when the league conducted its routine review. Following that review, the WNBA officially upgraded the foul to a flagrant one, adding even more attention to a moment that had already become one of the biggest talking points of the game. In the aftermath of the incident, the conversation didn't stay on the court. Shortly after the game, Kennedy Carter posted on social media questioning what Caitlin Clark contributed beyond her three-point shooting. The comment quickly spread online and intensified an already heated debate surrounding one of the league's most talked-about rookies. Despite everything, Clark's public response took many people by surprise. Rather than escalating the situation, she urged fans not to direct hate toward Carter and encouraged everyone to keep the discussion respectful. It was another example of the composed, team-first approach that has defined much of her career. What makes the situation especially interesting is how consistently Clark shifts the spotlight away from herself. While addressing reporters, she spoke about feeling sorry for the other players and her own teammates because the constant attention surrounding the controversy had overshadowed the games themselves. Instead of focusing on her personal experience, she emphasized how the non-stop headlines were affecting everyone involved. That weekend, the story dominated sports media. Television shows, podcasts, and social media feeds spent days dissecting the play from every possible angle. Before long, the discussion had expanded far beyond basketball, becoming a broader debate about the league, its players, and its future. Clark has repeatedly expressed that she wants the focus to remain on competition, the excitement of the game, and the positive momentum surrounding the WNBA rather than endless controversy. She has also spoken about wanting people to remember what makes basketball special in the first place: the passion, the competition, and the joy of playing. Throughout her rookie season, she has consistently highlighted the sold-out arenas, the growing fan base, and the incredible energy surrounding the league. Yet, she also acknowledged how overwhelming the constant media attention can become, recognizing that the experience hasn't always been as enjoyable as many people assume. At the same time, another challenge emerged. Clark confirmed that she would miss the upcoming matchup against the Las Vegas Aces, disappointing fans eager to see one of the season's biggest games. With several demanding contests still ahead, including a difficult stretch of back-to-back games, she admitted that returning from injury while managing such a packed schedule presents a significant physical challenge. Her absence also underscores how valuable she has become to the league. Whenever the Indiana Fever play, television ratings rise dramatically. Road games regularly sell out. Her jersey remains among the league's best sellers, and millions of casual sports fans have started following the WNBA because of her arrival. One of the clearest examples came when Indiana's matchup with New York attracted more than 2 million viewers on ABC, making it one of the league's most watched broadcasts in decades. At the same time, Clark's rapid rise has sparked intense debate throughout the basketball community. Some believe her popularity has accelerated the league's growth in remarkable ways, while others point out that many veteran players spent years helping build the WNBA long before the recent surge in attention. That contrast has fueled countless discussions about recognition, media coverage, and the changing landscape of professional women's basketball. Caught in the middle of those conversations, Clark has become one of the sport's most closely watched figures. She didn't ask to represent every discussion surrounding the league, yet nearly every major storyline seems to circle back to her. Every hard foul, every headline, and every viral moment quickly becomes part of a much larger debate about the WNBA itself. Even so, her public approach has remained remarkably consistent. She continues to discourage online harassment, praises opponents after games, and repeatedly reminds fans that basketball should remain the center of attention. While many admire that level of professionalism, others question whether constantly taking the high road places too much responsibility on one player, especially when the criticism and physical play continue. The broader conversation has also raised questions about player representation and league support. As one of basketball's biggest stars, Clark has a management team responsible for handling endorsements, partnerships, and her professional interests. Some observers argue that protecting elite athletes also means ensuring their concerns are heard behind the scenes, particularly regarding player safety, officiating standards, and the overall competitive environment. Those discussions continue as the league balances its rapid growth with the challenges that come from unprecedented attention. The discussion doesn't end with what happens on the court. It also raises bigger questions about how the league protects its players. Clark herself has mentioned that improving player safety has been an ongoing topic for years, yet many fans still believe consistency in officiating remains a challenge. If those conversations have been happening for such a long time, it's understandable why people continue asking when noticeable changes will actually appear during games. The debate becomes even more significant considering the level of attention Clark has brought to the WNBA. Every controversial play involving her is instantly replayed across television, social media, and sports shows nationwide. When questionable calls are only addressed after league reviews, critics argue that it does little to change the outcome of the game or reassure fans that player safety is being prioritized. Many believe that stronger in-game enforcement, clearer officiating standards, and greater consistency would help reduce unnecessary controversy. Others feel the league faces an especially difficult challenge because it has never experienced this level of national attention focused on a single player. Every decision is now examined under an enormous spotlight, making even routine basketball plays part of much larger conversations. At just 22 years old, Clark has found herself at the center of an extraordinary moment in women's basketball. Beyond adjusting to the speed and physicality of the professional game, she has also become one of the league's biggest attractions while dealing with injuries, constant media attention, and the expectations that come with being the #1 overall pick. Throughout it all, she has consistently encouraged everyone to shift the focus back to basketball. Her message has remained remarkably simple: celebrate the growth of the game, appreciate the competition, and avoid allowing off-court controversy to overshadow what happens between the lines. Still, the broader discussion isn't likely to disappear anytime soon. As the WNBA continues to experience record-breaking viewership, sold-out arenas, and unprecedented mainstream attention, questions about officiating, player safety, media coverage, and league growth will continue to be part of the conversation. Regardless of where people stand on those issues, one fact is difficult to ignore: the league is experiencing one of the most important moments in its history. The increased attention has created enormous opportunities, but it has also placed every decision under intense public scrutiny. How the WNBA responds over the coming months could shape both its public image and its future trajectory. Clark herself has acknowledged that she's not immune to the pressure, reminding reporters that she is a person with real emotions rather than simply a headline or a storyline. That perspective serves as a reminder that, behind the statistics and constant media coverage, every athlete is still navigating the challenges that come with competing at the highest level. Looking ahead, many fans hope the conversation gradually shifts away from controversy and back toward the quality of basketball being played. If the league can continue improving player safety, maintain competitive fairness, and build on its recent momentum, this period could become a turning point for women's basketball. If those concerns remain unresolved, however, the same debates are likely to continue resurfacing throughout the season. Ultimately, the biggest question is, what happens next? Can the league successfully balance its rapid growth with the responsibility of protecting its players and maintaining confidence in the game? Only time will provide that answer. But one thing is certain, the story is far from over, and every new chapter will be watched closely by basketball fans around the world. What are your thoughts on the current situation? Share your perspective in the comments below, and if you enjoy in-depth basketball coverage, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next update.